One of the challenges that I think we find people face is that they're too focused on financial metrics. And yes, financials really are an outcome. I think of them as over here on the end. So let's say we've got revenue, and think about a retail store. So we've got revenue and we're generating sales. Well, how are those sales actually derived? Those sales are actually coming from people coming into the store. So really it's the number of people that I've got and perhaps that average sale volume that's then going to drive this revenue. Well, the number of people coming to the store is actually driven by something else. It's driven by sales and marketing. And that sales and marketing is going to be $1 spend, so we've got some spend in there. And then it's the number of people that I'm actually able to reach and then bring into the store. That's going to then drive me our ability to sell, which is going to drive our sales. So really it's about looking at the entire chain of things, all the way from these non-financial things, marketing, people coming into the store, that's then driving financials. That's the key to really figuring out your business performance and understanding how can I increase this top line, how can I increase my revenue.
What's wrong with most strategic plans is that there's, from my perspective, they're a little bit linear in terms of A, B to C. Certainly, I think you want them to be guideposts, but you don't want them to be so stringent that there's not the opportunity to adapt to market conditions, and it's usually trying to achieve too much. One of the favorite examples I had of my last organization is we had competing interests in our strategic plan. You can't do both. So you've got to decide what does the organization prioritize? How do you reward that? How do you not try to kitchen sink that particular plan and make sure it's adaptable? Because certainly you have to revisit it and you have to make sure that this still applies to us given the market conditions as they change.
Okay, once you've got this big strategic plan, the biggest challenge then is how do we make sure that we stay aligned to that? How do we measure everything below it and make sure that this is actually happening? How do we create accountability around that plan? The key to that is metrics. It's understanding what are the metrics that are driving the strategic plan. So if we're going for market share, how are we going to measure market share? If we're going for customer satisfaction, how are we measuring customer satisfaction? And more often than not, it's going to be these non-financial metrics that are going to drive these financial metrics. So what are we doing? How are we going to measure that? What are the metrics behind that? And then what is the impact we're going to have to those metrics? Those numbers, that impact should be quantified as part of that strategic plan and part of its execution. Then I measure against it, create accountability for hitting those numbers. That's going to ensure that you actually are able to realize that strategy.
I don't actually think you can have a strategic plan without mission, vision, and values. It is a boiled down version of the North Star for what the organization simply stands for and what it is working towards. It is a distilled version of what we stand for. And I think without that, there is no meat on the bones. To me, the chicken and the egg conversation starts and ends with the mission, vision, and values. But of course, being a marketing professional, maybe I'm a little biased.